One.
Good morning and welcome back to the WInDaily live stream for fantasy football and DFS. I am the king. I am fantasy. Scott Engel here with you every Sunday. And of course, joining me as always, probably the hottest DFS pro in the business. I'm surprised his house hasn't burned down behind him. He's on such fire. It's David Jones. David, good morning. Good to be back with you.
Hey, good morning, Scott. I was the hottest guy, but we hired a guy who's getting pretty hot in Javi. He's already got 5 qualifying tickets in like a month. So we hired him a couple weeks ago, and he's gaining on me. So I gotta step my game up this Sunday.
Yeah, I now have a very intimidating crew of DFS pros to work with, including yourself, our Javier Prezzello, Jason Mizrahi, Dan Weir, and all the other great experts over here at WInDaily. And you can chat with them live in our Slack chat if you're a premium member and get one-on-one advice for them throughout the morning. But Dave is going to be monitoring the live stream on YouTube, the chat. We're going to welcome all your questions. We're here to help you. And Dave, let's start by talking about your Falcons. They have become the target of every DFS player. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the chalk today is going in this Atlanta Rams game. And when you have so many players that you like, the challenge is deducing who do you really like in this game. So let's start on the Atlanta side. I think Matt Ryan's obvious, but do you consider it veering off Julio Jones because Jalen Ramsey's going to play and maybe limit his ceiling?
Yeah, I think I am, Scott, especially when he's one of the highest price. He is the highest priced wide receiver on FanDuel. I have a lot of respect for Ramsey, but I also have a lot for Julio. Look, I don't think Ramsey's going to completely shut down Julio Jones. It's a hard thing to do, but I think the words limit him. He's going to limit him a little bit. I mean, Julio has games where he doesn't, get 100 yards and a touchdown. He hasn't scored the past 3 weeks. I don't think he's going to blow the top off and be on the big GPP winning teams. So, yeah, but if you want to look down at someone like Ridley or Sanu, who's going to be more open with Ramsey on Julio, you can do that. Ridley's still 5,500 on FanDuel. He's got 4 touchdowns in 6 games. I mean, I think you can go right back to him. He is way underpriced. He should be like a high mid-tier wide receiver, in my opinion. Then you've got Austin Hooper, who got targeted like crazy last week. He was on the playing against the Cardinals. I mentioned on the SiriusXM show last night, I don't think he's going to get over 21.7 fantasy points like he had last week, but he can get there in the mid-teens range, and that's going to keep you safe. This guy isn't going to kill you. So those are the Falcons I like, and I'm not –
more of a cash game play?
Yeah, you can play him in cash. Yeah, that feels safe. Yeah, and as far as Ryan goes, he's not one of my top guys. I know he's going to do fine, but he's not who I am targeting on my main team today. But he is a good play. If you have him on your team, I'm not saying take him out.
Devonta Freeman scored 3 times in the last 2 games, but doesn't have a rushing touchdown. Could get in the end zone this week in a high-scoring game, but there's not a ton of upside to him.
Yeah, I agree. Not a ton of upside, but this is also a guy who's been pretty steady. I mean, he started out slow. He missed most of last season, so I think he's just getting his legs back underneath him. But I'm still not overly impressed with what I've seen. He's only got 2 games. His highest game's 88 yards. He's got 4 games in there under 30 yards, 30 or under. He's 6,400. He makes sense. He's going to be popular today because of the game script and what he did last week. I'm not on him a lot, but if you have some, if you're making 10 lineups and want to put him in a couple, I get it.
On the other side, Jared Goff's going to be very popular, as is Cooper Kupp. That's probably going to be the chalk today, Goff to Kupp in DFS. Then it's really about deciding who else you like on the Rams. And I'm going just on a hunch, but I'm also going on the fact that he's targeted most of the other receivers. I think Robert Woods is a very good play today at 5,400 on DraftKings over Brandon Cooks, who does play well in domes, but he's boom or bust. He could be a difference maker maybe in a GPP, Brandon Cooks, but I'm really feeling Robert Woods more. Gerald Everett, Jason Mizrahi, as I were talking about, probably not going to be widely owned. Todd Gurley should get maybe 60% of them, 65% of the running back touches, and could probably score 2 touchdowns today if it's high scoring.
Man, yeah, and it's Todd Gurley back in the state of Georgia where he played college ball, and he's just such a stud. I can see that happening with Gurley. I mean, Malcolm Brown is doubtful; he's not going to play. Daryl Henderson will get in for a handful of snaps, but Gurley could get it going here, and I don't think he's going to be too highly owned. So yeah, you can load him up. Only 7,100, former MVP. But the rest of the Rams guys, Jared Goff, he's my top quarterback. Look, versus the Falcons, it's all you need to know. The past 3 weeks, the Millie Maker has been the quarterback versus the Falcons, Marcus Mariota, Deshaun Watson. Last week, we had Kyler Murray with a ceiling game that we called. So Jared Goff, bounce back week in a dome, sure, that's fine. But just a high scoring team versus a defense that can't hold anyone. The Falcons are out Trufant, they're out Keanu O'Neal. They don't get it. I watch them close, and the Rams are going to put up points. Now, if you want to talk about the wide receivers, I like the Robert Woods call there, Scott, because look, I'm looking at the prices on FanDuel. You've got Kupp at 7,800. You've got Robert Woods at 73. Everyone's just going to figure out a way to get to Kupp. Robert Woods is going to be under-owned on FanDuel, which sounds crazy because of the game script, but you can pay up for Kupp or you can go down for Cooks. Robert Woods just kind of right there in the middle zone. So I can definitely see him having a good game, but I can see all of them having a good game. I can see Brandon Cooks having a good game. He used to be on the Saints. Saints were big rivals with the Falcons. Cooks used to get up for the Falcons. I think he still has a little bit of that Falcons hate in his heart and wants to take the top off over these guys.
Yeah, I think if I want to build a stack from that game, I'd probably start Kupp, Goff, Woods, Ridley, and then go from there.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way to do it. That's a popular way in my builds this week. And I'm going to throw out a name. Tell me what you think, Scott, about this guy. He's super cheap on DraftKings, and it's going to be the Rams tight end 2 in Tyler Higbee. He's getting in the game every game. He's getting at least 3 targets, 3 receptions in almost every game. He's got a touchdown in 1. Going to be way under-owned in a shootout game, and everyone's looking at Everett. Do you have any love at all for Tyler Higbee?
Not really. Second tight end, catches occasional passes. In a seasonal, no way.
Yeah.
If I'm going to spend down a tight end, I'm going to go with Darren Fells and get 3,100 going against the Colts, who have allowed the most fantasy points per game to opposing tight ends in the AFC. You got any questions there in the chat?
Let's take a look, see what we have here. A bunch of good mornings. Good morning, Tyler.
Good morning,
Dan. Morning, William. Here's a question from Dan. My top 2 wide receiver correlating stack. He's just telling us my top 2 wide receiver correlating stack is Goff, Kupp, and Cooks. Yeah, I think that's good, Dan. Same page there, buddy.
The one thing though is, like, and Jason has talked about this, if one receiver goes off, it might affect the other. That's why, I don't know if I want Woods and Cooks in the same lineup. I'd probably diversify them across multiple lineups.
Yeah, I'm with you. I know several guys who are making lineups and just putting Goff in a different Rams wide receiver on these on several lines just to make sure they catch a piece. Because one of these Rams guys is just going to go nuts. He'll be on the GPP winning team. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Yeah, another game looking at Buffalo, Miami. You're big on Josh Allen today.
Yeah.
Does that mean you're also big on John Brown?
John Brown was my favorite mid wide receiver when the week started, but then some news kind of shook out and moved me to a couple other guys. I like John Brown a lot.
The thumb injury?
With John Brown, is that what it is? A thumb?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he looks like he's going to be good to go. But that did play into it because it kind of popped up in the middle of the week, and so it seemed like it was something new. And you don't want a wide receiver with a busted thumb. And then DJ Chark started to shift ahead of him. But I do still like John Brown. The Dolphins are terrible. He's going to be the main targeted wide receiver. And I like Allen a lot, so I got to have someone for him to throw it to. I like Allen because versus the Dolphins last year, I mean, he just tore him up. He has, I'm looking at it here, almost 800 all-purpose yards in 2 games, 455 throwing, 230 on the ground, 5 touchdowns through the air, and 2 touchdowns running. I mean, I love Josh Allen versus this team, so I'm going to have him on one of my 2 main teams. And Miami's allowing 9.7 yards per pass to the wide receiver, which is dead last in the NFL. So there's nothing for me to not like about Josh Allen this week.
Right. And you got a timeshare running back, but both those guys are viable. Frank Gore returning home, facing a former team. He's got a lot of them at this point. Devin Singletary can score from anywhere on the field. And then Dawson Knox is a very interesting punt play.
Yeah, I've heard Knox pop up a few times. I'm not on him personally. Maybe you can sell me on him a little bit because I don't see what the hype is.
Well, he's had some good games. I know Tyler Croft is returning, but I was speaking to somebody I really respect last night, Emery Hunt of Football Game Plan, and he likes Knox, and I've been impressed with him so far. They are going against Miami.
Yeah, I mean, tight end versus bad defense in Miami. I'm looking at him right now. He wasn't really on my radar, but I can see it as a punt play. But I also think at tight end too. You've got so many guys in elite spots. I don't know that I want to pay down at tight end, but if it's absolutely forced to, I guess you can take a shot on him.
Yeah, Jason and I were talking about that last night. Any questions there in the chat room, Dave?
Yeah, we started to get a few. So seasonal league, Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson?
You can't bench Lamar Jackson in a seasonal league. In fact, maybe you can trade one of those guys so you don't have to deal with this decision every week. I think that's going to be a shootout up in Seattle. There's only going to be light rain there. I know Gil Brandt on Sirius XM NFL Radio was talking about being a little concerned for them, as they go all the way over there to Seattle, and it'll be a little windy, but I don't think it's going to be windy enough actually to where it's really going to affect them. The Seahawks traditionally over the last few years defensively have had problems with those dual threat type of quarterbacks.
Yeah, I agree with you there. There's no price in seasonal long. I like Josh Allen more because he's cheaper than Lamar on these fantasy sites. But go with Lamar there. And then we've got a question from Tyler: Fitzgerald or Boyd? My take is Boyd, and it's easy for me. He just gets it done at home. All of his touchdowns come at home. Just go look at it. He hasn't had a game this season at home with less than 17 fantasy points. And then last year he got 7 of his 8 touchdowns at home. This year he's got 2 touchdowns at home and none on the road. For me, it is Boyd. And then also Fitzgerald's going to be dealing with some rain up in New York, so that helps get me off Fitzgerald too. Scott, you got anything different?
I don't know. I feel differently about it than you do. By the way, the winds are going to be only 10 miles an hour in Seattle.
Okay.
If we feel Kyler Murray's going to have a good game, the only game in town for him to throw to is Larry Fitzgerald. Christian Kirk is not going to play.
Yeah, if Kirk's not going to play. So if Kirk's in, it's another downgrade for me.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to play.
It really
and the wind's only going to be 4 miles an hour in New Jersey.
What's is it looking like rain the whole game?
No, it's not actually. It's looking overcast.
Is it? Okay, yeah.
30% chance of precipitation. I almost said that wrong. Got dyslexic there. But if there's really no wind, I don't know how concerned you should be about the rain, really.
Yeah, I'm seeing steady, light, moderate rain, increasing second half. It might slow down offenses a bit. I'm not on the Cardinals today, so I know a lot of people are, but I'm not on Murray. He's not going to exceed what he did last week versus the Falcons. I think that's going to make his ownership go up. I'm not really on Fitz. He's cheap enough, and he's been so steady, like he's not going to kill you. And he could win you one too at that price, but I've got to pick my spots this week, and I'm not on the Cardinals. I do want to know about David Johnson though, if he's gonna win that news.
He's expected to play. It was reported about 1:45 in the morning by Adam Schefter that he's expected to play today.
Okay, yeah. So that I wanted some Edmonds, of course, if he was out. But if he's playing, I don't know that I can go back to Edmonds.
Yeah. What else we got there? Anything else?
Let's see. Nope. Just keep on churning through the slate.
Okay. And talk about that Baltimore-Seattle game. I really like Mark Ingram at 6,600 with the Ravens playing RPO. The Seahawks are giving up the 4th most receiving yards in the NFC to running backs. So I think he's a good play. Andrews is obviously going to be a pass funnel there. And what's interesting on the other side is the storyline of Earl Thomas coming back to Seattle, and he's had to make some adjustments, going from a cover 3, playing other schemes. So Thomas really hasn't been the turnover machine he was in Seattle. They're just starting. They just acquired Marcus Peters. It'll be his first game. Jimmy Smith is not back. So I think this Baltimore secondary, which has been the worst in the AFC against opposing wide receivers to this point, is going to improve, but they're not quite in that comfort zone yet. I don't know if I'm loving Lockett as a GPP play. DK Metcalf is interesting because they give up so much yardage, but they might look to tighten the screws on that this week. So I think Metcalf's kind of boom or bust. Although if you're rolling out one or two lineups, I wouldn't go with Metcalf because you're investing too much in a boom or bust. But if you're rolling out multiple lineups, I would like him. And Chris Carson faces a tough defensive front, so I'm kind of pivoting off him in DFS today. But I do like him in seasonal.
Yeah, I can get with you on the Ingram call. I think he's going to be really low owned. He started to pop up on my radar Friday night. He's just going to be the starting running back for Baltimore. I know they mix a few guys in there. Excuse me. But a lot of teams do that. He's the number one guy. He's going to get first crack, in my opinion. Let's see. I also like Mark Andrews a lot over on the Ravens. You're going to have Hollywood Brown, who is questionable. It looks like he's going to play, Scott.
Look like he's not going to play.
Looks like he's not. Okay.
Yeah, Bradley McDougal, the starting strong safety for the Seahawks, may be out today as well. Yeah,
so if Brown's not playing and Scott's not too worried about the weather, and I trust him, he's a huge Seattle fan, then Mark Andrews, he's gonna probably act as the wide receiver one there. He kind of has already, and he's in the tight end position. Game hasn't gone by where he hasn't gotten 7 targets or more. He's put up 100 yards twice, 99 once. He's going to be the first guy they look to throw it to in the end zone. So I'm on Mark Andrews big. I think I'm off Lockett and Metcalf this week. The game feels sloppy to me for whatever reason. Again, it's another place I have to pick my spots. I do like both these wide receiver skill sets, but I can't get there myself. And then Scott was talking about Chris Carson here. I liked Chris Carson a lot coming into today, but you're kind of getting me off him a little bit because you are the Seahawks whisperer.
I just don't like that offensive line versus the defensive line. Got any questions in the chat room there, Dave?
Let's see. Is Carson going to fumble today? That's my question.
I don't think he's fumbled in about 3 games today. So so I'm not worried about that anymore.
Let's see. Anthony asks, "Hey guys, does the WInDaily Gold membership have a cash game article? Do we? I don't do a cash game article. Do we?
Yeah, we have cash game articles by our Nick Bresswish. That's part of the membership, and you can get in our Slack chat, upgrade to Premium Gold, and ask one-on-one cash game questions to all of our experts.
There you go. Boom. Nice. And now we need to address the Green Bay wide receiver situation. Any news dropped on that yet?
Looks like Allison and Marquez Valdez-Scantling are going to be game time decisions. So it's really going to be Lazard or Kumaro otherwise. In any fantasy, in any fantasy type of game today, I'm really avoiding Green Bay. If Lazard has to be the number one wide receiver, is he capable of stepping up and doing it? It could be Kumaro today. You just don't know. If you're rolling out 4,000 lineups like Dave is, you can give it a shot. But I think there's going to be a low-scoring game. And what's a nifty defensive punt to me is the Raiders at 1,900. I remember we talked about the Jets last week. I don't see this as a high-scoring game. And before the bye, the Raiders played a very good defensive game.
Sorry, I was looking at another message there. Yeah, I agree with everything you're saying there, Scott. Lat Murray or Josh Jacobs?
I'm going Jacobs, whether it's seasonal or DFS. The Packers are a run funnel defense. Everybody's on Jacobs today just because of where the Packers are ranked against the run. But the problem is with Tyrell Williams out, as bad as the Packers have been against the run, I think it's easy for Green Bay to load their fronts against the rookie running back and make Derek Carr throw to who? So I'm not
Yeah.
big. I'm not big on Jacobs in DFS today.
I do like Jacobs more. I think they've just had to game plan knowing that Ty Williams is going to be out for 2 weeks. Get him a little more involved. He's looked good. He's got 200-yard games in his first, 5 or I think it's just 5 games with them. Yeah, so far this season. I watched him a lot in college, and I like what he brings to the table. But it's Jacobs over Murray, and I want to go back and talk about that Green Bay receiving situation a little bit too. Now, someone's asking, if MVS or Allison's out, do we put Lazard in? I think on DraftKings you can easily do
I think
that.
it's like 4,200 or something like that.
He's like $3,000. Like it's
Okay,
free.
yeah,
So, but on
free square,
FanDuel,
yeah.
yeah, FanDuel, I wouldn't do it. I do like if we've got a wide receiver missing, or even if we don't have a wide receiver missing for Green Bay, I think I'm going to get some more Jamal Williams. I mean, he was. I know he kind of took over last game over Aaron Jones. But before he got that concussion against Philadelphia, he was a part of that offense anyways, and they use him as a pass catching back. He's got 2 receiving touchdowns on the year. Aaron Rodgers trusts him, and Aaron Rodgers throws the guys he trusts, and then just lets everyone else run routes. So I can see some Jamal Williams as a pivot from a wide receiver missing.
I just don't know what the reps are going to be like, because they may want to go back to Aaron Jones and reestablish his confidence.
I agree with that too. And that's the risky business of daily fantasy sports. But at that price on DraftKings, I like him more because he'll be catching. On FanDuel, I'm not going to be on him.
You've had a lot of good luck there, David. And, I think it's time for me to make a revelation that maybe I need to go by my middle name from now on in order to win more in daily.
What's your middle name?
David.
Your middle name's David. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. My middle name's Scott. No,
Get out. No,
okay. I'm joking.
Yeah, that would be strange. David Wright, David Engel, David Jones.
Yeah.
All this David stuff. Any questions in the chat room there?
Yeah, let's see. Colts D or Saints D? I would say Saints D. What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, just the Bears quarterbacking is just disgusting. They're a much better matchup. The Saints, if you're not going to spend up for the Niners or the Bills this week, I think you got to pivot to the Saints, and they might actually be a free agent in a few seasonal leagues. That's a sneaky good play, I think. They're only 2,900 on DraftKings.
Yeah, I agree. Saints know that they're going to have to win this game with defense because they've got Alvin Kamara.
It's easy to, yeah.
So they're going to have to step up, and they know they can. And I like the plays of Saints for the price on DraftKings. It's scary when you've got 2 great situations up top, but it's a defense. Anything can happen, and they're in a good spot. And then we've got let's see, rank first through third in your opinion. Vikings D, Chicago's D, Saints D. That's a good question. That's a tough question.
I put the Vikings third.
Yeah.
Chicago. Chicago is going against New Orleans, but that defense, you start them no matter who they play, pretty much. If it's seasonal, I'm saying Chicago, New Orleans, and Minnesota.
Yep.
If it's daily, you spend a little bit less for the Saints. So I'm going to say the Saints.
Yeah,
I think people are looking to pivot off the Bills and the 49ers there, but the 49ers, that team just looks so good. They look so good on every facet. On paper, they actually look like possibly the best team in the NFC. I think if I had to do my NFL power rankings right now, I'd go the Patriots first, the Saints second, and the Niners probably a close third.
Yeah, I agree with those rankings too, but I'm not trying to wiggle off the best defenses today. I don't think. Not on my main teams, anyways. I'm playing this big Millie Maker on DraftKings, and I'm going to stick with one of those top 2 for myself.
Yeah, I think you got to go Buffalo because I probably like Buffalo. In terms of quarterback turnovers, I like Buffalo a little bit better.
Okay, yeah, I'm. It's a tough decision for me. I'm not sure. You've got.
Which team do you like better for sacks?
I probably like Buffalo better for sacks and for turnovers. I mean, people think that Fitzpatrick is going to go in there and have a Fitz magic game. I just don't see it. He could get benched at halftime, and he's going to turn it over a couple times. So it's a tough call for me today. It's a defense that can go either way.
If somebody's going to have more of a meltdown, turnover-laden game, I think it's more likely to be Fitzpatrick than Keenum. Keenum, bad game, you don't see a lot of yardage.
Yeah, and then if Fitzpatrick's having a bad game, Rosen comes in and he'll have a bad game too. So maybe I will start edging the Bills up over the 49ers. I keep going back and forth, just being honest. It's a tough call.
Well, you have 49 million lineups, so you can just split them 24-25.
I don't know that I'm going to multi-ender today. I'm trying to keep it really focused on a couple main lineups. It's really, I think that's what I'm going to do. We'll see. It could change.
What do you think? Everybody's talking about Leonard Fournette as the chalk today, but Gardner Minshew could put up some good numbers because that'll set up play action, and Cincinnati's missing both of its top corners, especially in cash games. I'm liking the Minshew Chark kind of stack.
Yep, I like Minshew Chark for sure. You're going to have three pieces on this offense, in my opinion. And everything's going to be funneled through these three pieces. This is something I mentioned before I did with the Cowboys last year when it was just Cooper, Zeke, and Dak. Now you've just got a fantastic running back, a wide receiver one, and a quarterback on Jacksonville. Everything's going to go through those guys. Chark's a phenomenal play. If Dede Westbrook, I know he's dealing with his shoulder. Do we know if he's out yet?
No, he's going to play.
He's going to play? Okay, yeah. He's still got a hurt shoulder, so it doesn't really take me off Chark any. And so you pair those two together. And as far as Fournette goes, this guy has 500 all-purpose yards in the past 3 games. He's going to be highly involved. The Bengals are the worst rush defense in the NFL. They've given up the most touchdowns in the NFL. They've given up 200 more yards than anyone in the NFL on the ground. So I think you get a piece of Jacksonville, and I've got some lineups where I've got Minshew, Fournette, and Chark, and I'm just going to let them take all the points, and I'm not going to try and get too crazy and pivot away from guys I like just because they're on the same team.
By the way, Buffalo has one more sack than Stanford. No, San Francisco has one more sack than Buffalo.
Yeah,
and neither of them are ranked in the top 20.
And let's see, San Francisco, have they had a bye week yet? I don't think so.
Buffalo has. San Francisco is not.
Yeah. So yeah, so that makes me lean a little more towards Buffalo then if they've had that bye week and they're only down 1 sack. So
yeah.
Let's see.
Okay, got anything going on there in the chat room?
Nope, no new questions. We've got some of our pro guys in there answering them too.
Okay, that's great. I know Dan Weir's involved in there Sunday. Dallas, Philadelphia. Amari Cooper is expected to play. They get their lineman back. I kind of like Dak Prescott, and this is more of an intangible hunch than anything. Mm-hmm. I feel like they really need this game. I know Philadelphia is getting some pieces back in the secondary, but I feel like Dak Prescott really has to put this team on his back today and can put up some good numbers.
Yeah, I like Dak too. I'll be doing a article on the Showdown slate later this afternoon. We'll get it up to you hopefully around halftime of the first game here. But I like Cooper. I know he's coming back from injury. People have had a lot of questions about him all week, but he's an elite guy in a primetime spot. Dak's #1 target. But if it's not Cooper, it's going to be Gallup. I know Philadelphia, like Scott said, is getting some players back. Gallup let us down last week, but he can take the top off these guys. Philadelphia is allowing a ton of touchdowns through the air, and it's Dak and the receivers for me. And then Zeke, yes, he's going to get his on a Showdown slate. Yeah, you probably have to have him too. But I will address all of that more in my article coming out later today. But I think you lock up Dak, a wide receiver, and probably Zeke.
Yeah, I like Michael Gallup a lot too, as long as he's healthy. On the other side, Miles Sanders is starting to show some playmaking ability, and Dallas is one of the worst teams at defending pass-catching running backs.
Yeah, Not a Sanders guy right now. He needs to show me more, and Philadelphia needs to show me that they're going to commit to just one back more. It's another situation where you're not positive that he's going to get all the touches. I mean, he's had games where he's done absolutely nothing, so he's not my favorite today. But in season long, I mean, he's a fine play because there's a lot of bye weeks this week, and you got to get someone in there.
Yeah, and as far as Zach Ertz goes, though, I think he hasn't had a game close to anywhere near 100 yards. The touchdowns haven't been there. I don't believe in when some analysts who I respect say, "Oh, a guy is due." To me, that's baseball. People aren't due in football. They either produce or they don't produce, and there's really not much of a ceiling for for a guy like Zach Ertz, who is really regressing from what we saw last year. I think Jason Witten might have even better chance to score a touchdown tonight.
Oh man, I don't know. Witten, primetime Witten. He used to call these games last year. Yeah, I mean he gets targeted. He's certainly not in my top 8 tight ends though.
Going back to the 49ers, this team really relies on the run. The Redskins are like third worst against fantasy running backs. They give it up against the run and the pass. I like both Breida and Coleman. Coleman's 5,600 on DraftKings today. He's their primary goal line runner. I could see 2 touchdowns out of Coleman today.
Yeah, we got a question, Breida or Coleman, so that answers it for you.
I like Coleman.
Coleman for me too. He's the guy there. Let's see what else we got here.
And then go ahead.
Go ahead. Wow. Thoughts on Thielen? Thoughts on Thielen today?
I think Darius Slay is going to play. I don't think there's going to be a high-scoring game. I think if you're rolling with Vikings here, the Lions' defense isn't terrible, and it isn't great either. I don't think there's going to be a high-scoring game. I think if you're going back to the Vikings, it's you're being reactionary to the last 2 weeks. I think things come back to earth for the Vikings today.
Yeah, I agree too. Cook is my play on the Vikings. I'm not on Diggs. He's a boomer bust guy. And Thielen, yeah, he's a great wide receiver. On DraftKings, I would like him more just because of the 1-point perception. But I don't think he's actually, I know I'm not playing. I don't think I'm playing any Thielen today.
Yeah, I think what you really got to look at, I don't know if this is talked about a lot, you have to look at teams that I think a lot of people just look at, okay, what's the fantasy points allowed per game against a certain unit? But I think every week in the NFL, these coaching staffs try to fix what's broken. And what you have to look at is the teams that are broken and can't be fixed, like the Falcons and the Bengals. Mm-hmm. Whereas you look at a team like the Ravens, and I get concerned that, they're starting to fix things. And they might not be as vulnerable as they had. They've allowed the most receiving yards to wide receivers all season long. But I think sometimes you see a team that's got a really bad defensive sort of area. Like you look at the Packers, it's against the run. But if they load up against Josh Jacobs and contain him, where are the Raiders going to go with the football? So from week to week, who is making the best adjustments or is capable of making adjustments based either on personnel or game plan?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point. You're getting me off Jacobs a little bit, but I don't know. He's so cheap. I want more. Javi tells us to leave the Cowboys negativity out of this. I didn't think we were being too hard on him, but I'm not a Cowboys fan. Anyways,
is Javi a Cowboys fan? No, he's a Jets fan.
Is he?
Yeah,
I don't know. I
thought he was a Jets fan.
He's telling us to leave these Cowboys alone. Leave them alone. So yeah, that's no more questions in the chat right now. Oh, I did want to address too on Thielen. This guy who asked us about Thielen, definitely play him in season long. But in DFS, then I'm not on him.
I think there's more upside, for other guys in DFS. And Javi's in the chat from us. Javier Prezzello, our new DFS pro. He's won a bunch of tickets to the NHL final there. So if you could win a ticket to a final, what would you want it to be?
I haven't been to a football final yet, so it's going to have to be that. I've done baseball a lot. I've done NBA a lot. I've done the DraftKings Sports Betting National Championship. I've done I did the NFL Showtime Slate Championship, but they don't send you anywhere. So I got to get an NFL ticket this week.
I want to get a NASCAR ticket.
That'd be fun too. Did they send you somewhere for that?
I think they're already doing something for Daytona
Okay,
in
cool. Yeah.
2020.
Get you one, Scott.
Yeah, I'd love to do. I'd love to do Talladega.
Yeah.
We do have NASCAR coverage on WInDaily now from our new expert Chris Broussard. Check out the preview for today's race in Kansas with the green flag drops at 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. I actually stopped doing my DFS NASCAR lineups once football starts. So it's like through July, February through July, I'm doing DFS NASCAR.
Yeah, I need to dip my toe back in. I played it for a little while, but those crashes were so tilting for me. I need to, but that was before I knew you, Scott. Now I've got all the info I need.
Yeah, well, it's unlike any other daily fantasy sport because of the crashes. Imagine multiple guys getting injured in your football lineup at once, and it's unpredictable. So you really have to diversify with NASCAR. You got to roll out multiple lineups. But the 49ers, Dante Pettis is interesting because he's only 4,100 on DraftKings, and he has been getting the most snaps of any wide receiver over the last 2 weeks for San Francisco.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of Pettis questions. You have Deebo Samuel out too, and he's so cheap. And man,
Marquise Goodwin is the poor man's Will Fuller. I hate to say it.
I know.
Once every 6 weeks he'll do something.
I know it. I think San Francisco wants to keep running the ball, and Dante Pettis, I don't think I'm on him. I think I'm going to let other people play him and hope he doesn't score a long touchdown and kill me because I know he's going to be somewhat popular. It's just the way the builds are kind of working out this week. I'm not saying it's a bad play, but I'm saying it's a guy that I'm not going to be on in my main teams.
Yeah. And then we're looking at New Orleans and Chicago today. This is going to be a defensive game. I think you're off most of this in DFS. In seasonal, obviously you roll out Michael Thomas. Latin Murray's not top 20 for me when you given the matchup. Marshawn Lattimore is going to be on Allen Robinson, so he can shut him down. I've heard some people talking about Anthony Miller in the slot, though.
I'm not on it. I'm not looking at this game at all. I think it's just low scoring game. I don't think any of these guys are going to beat you. I don't think Taylor Gabriel is going to have another 3 touchdown game.
A poor man's Marquise Goodwin.
Yeah, right. I watched a lot of Taylor Gabriel too when he was in Atlanta. And he's a nifty little wide receiver, but he's not going to do that again. The defense is going to say, "Hey, this guy scored 3 touchdowns last game. Let's not let him beat us." So just not a lot on this game. I'm like, as far as Lat Murray goes, he's going to get a larger workload, but Lat Murray's starting. We saw it for years. It's just that's the reason he's a number 2 back now, because he doesn't really carry the load. And against Chicago, they're a good defense at home. I know they got beat up the last game, but Lat Murray's just not a guy that I'm really on. There's better value and running backs for me to get.
Yeah, ESPN reporting that Patrick Mahomes could return maybe sooner than 3 weeks.
Good. I have him on a lot of teams. I drafted him early. They said wait for quarterback. I said no, I want Patrick Mahomes. And I got Mahomes and Lamar Jackson on one team. And I told everyone, I was like, thanks for letting me have the best 2 quarterbacks, and they laughed. Well,
you certainly trade one if you got both of those. And but if you kept Jackson, you're good now. But I've been talking about this a lot. Sam Darnold is like a great fill-in while he's out. He's got a great schedule from week 8 to 14. Your season's not over if you lost Patrick Mahomes. And on my old league that's been going since 2005. We're like about almost 15 years old now. I drafted Mahomes and Hill together. I said, I don't care. Those are going to be my 2 first-round picks, and I want to do that in one league because it won me 2 championships last year. And I think they've only played 2 games together so far.
Well, the back of the season, you should be okay. I'm thinking, man, the season's going by quick.
The injuries have killed me in that league. I'm like 2 and 4.
Yeah.
And then I had Damian Williams. I had Mahomes going in that league to start. But I had Tyreek Hill, so I had 25 points after Thursday. But it's like I say, people overreact to Thursday night football and seasonal. You neither won or you've lost after Thursday night. It's one game out of 14. It's nowhere near a true reflection of what the outcome is going to be.
All right, we got another question here from Tyler through our little chat. How often do you check your lineups during games? Just curious. Scott, you mentioned you don't check them, right?
When it comes to seasonal, I don't look at my lineups at all. I don't want to stress myself out. I want to let the games play out. When people complain to me on Twitter about how a guy not doing it good in the first or second quarter and they're worried about him, I'm like, let the games play out.
Yep.
I don't look at live scoring at all until about 7:30 p.m. Eastern. I'm not going to stress myself out. I don't stress myself out about things that I can't control. And I can't control whether I'm winning or losing at 3:30 in the afternoon or 2:00 in the afternoon. So seasonal, I don't check at all. I also never look at the other team because I can't control them. Especially pregame and seasonal, I never look at the other team. Oh, this guy's got this. That's his record. I can't control that. All I can do is set my own possible lineup. Now, in daily, I will find myself checking live scoring more often because I'm not playing for a win or loss against anybody. And I just want to see where I rank. And if I'm out of it by 4:30, I don't want to bother with it anymore.
Yeah, I hear you, man, on not stressing yourself out. Some of the times I've won the most is when I just set my lineup and like go to the gym and come back and check my lineup and see how I'm doing. And I also don't like to look at the opponent's lineups either in DFS. Like I don't like to go see what the guy in first has. I like to just focus on my lineup and try and will those guys into the end zone. And you said something too about people hitting you up, the first quarter of the game. So-and-so will go score a touchdown in the first, minute, and everyone starts panicking like, oh, we're dead. I hate that. You got to let everything play out. Anything can happen. That guy can catch a touchdown the first half and not get targeted the rest of the game. You can't overreact and kill yourself.
That's the thing, and I find this to be a misnomer in analysis, like a mistake in analysis, is that people don't want guys in blowout games because they think they won't play in the fourth quarter or something like that. How do you think they get there if it's a blowout? And in most NFL games, if guys put up big numbers, they don't do it over four full quarters. There's usually a spurt where a guy puts up the bulk of his numbers.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Or they build it. They will build it over time, but you could see Aaron Rodgers nothing in the first quarter. Like Russell Wilson, against Arizona, I think he had 3 touchdown passes in the fourth quarter. Actually, against New Orleans. So you can't assume it's all going to become part of. If a team blows out another team, that it's not good for the team that's winning, because how do you think they got there in the first place? And I see a lot of analysts say, well, I like a guy like Leonard Fournette because the Bengals are going to be up by a lot of points, and they're probably going to run out the clock for a quarter and a half. You don't run out the clock for a quarter and a half. If you're up by that much, the backups are going to come in.
Right.
So some analysts act like, and I expect a lot of these people like to take Jacksonville, Cincinnati, that they're going to jump out to a 35-point lead, and then or 28-point lead, and then Leonard Fournette's going to get a ton of carries in the second half. That doesn't happen too often because if a team jumps out to a big lead, they pull the starters off the field if it's a huge blowout.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I don't see any real NFL games where guys get just fed for a quarter and a half in the second half.
Yeah.
If it's competitive, it's going to be more balanced. If it's a blowout, they're going to get pulled off the field.
Yeah, it's a good point. I also don't like the when people recommend to play the RB2 because it's going to be a blowout. And so you're hoping that the blowout happens, then you're hoping the RB2, like you're saying, gets in the game for a quarter and a half. I can't do that. I will never recommend that. I know it worked one time.
There's also a certain point. I'm sorry to interrupt you. There's also a certain point where the team takes the foot off the gas.
Right.
And with a team like the Patriots, they'll never take their foot off the gas. And I think if a game's like 35-10, sometimes the team doesn't take a foot off the gas, but then when it gets to be 42-10, then they do.
Yeah.
Because there's a mindset of, okay, this other team, we still got 13 minutes left. They could score 2 touchdowns and be back in it. So we got to keep our foot on the gas.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I'm with you. No overreacting.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's
no more
just
questions. No more questions in the chat here. What do we need to still cover?
we still Houston and Indianapolis. T.Y. Hilton, a lot of people love him against the Texans. Historically, he's already done well, although that's not relevant to this season. Again, it's not baseball where one guy kills a team. Like, I know certain guys always do well against the Mets, etc. So, but a lot of people like T.Y. Hilton today, but I think they're playing him naked.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of the same thing, and I do like T.Y. Hilton. The price is great on DraftKings. I mean, it's hard to get away from him over there. FanDuel, he's a little bit higher. I do tend to lean a little bit more on history than it sounds like you do with this one, Scott. Just not in every case, but in this case. I mean, T.Y. Hilton does do well against Houston. He knows it. But Houston also knows.
I don't think it's due to history. It's just a great matchup for him today,
and that too, right? So, but
yeah.
Houston, Houston's aware they've got to try and stop T.Y. Hilton. But can you stop T.Y. Hilton? And can Jacoby Brissett get him the ball? I think that he can. I've seen some people pairing Jacoby Brissett with T.Y. Hilton, which
it's an interesting pivot. I like it for a cash game. I don't think there's a lot of upside with Brissett for a tournament, though. He could throw for 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, but still, he's not that much of a rushing quarterback either.
No, he's not. And then I'm looking at what he's done so far this year. He's had 3 games under 200 yards. That was versus Kansas City, the Chargers, and Tennessee. He had 1 game where he got 20.8 fantasy points, and that's against the Falcons, the best matchup you can have. In Oakland, he got to 23.5. I don't love Brissett today. I don't think I'm going to have much of him, and I think people are getting on him just because they have T.Y., and it seems like a good correlation. There's other quarterbacks that I would rather have today, though.
Yeah, I think so too, but I like Marlon Mack, at least in seasonal, to get in the end zone once or twice here because I think they're going to be moving the ball. The Texans has been good against the tight end, but I could see Eric Ebron getting in the end zone today, but not enough for me to like him in daily. But there could be some offensive surprises here because if Brissett's going to be throwing the ball, one interesting guy that's an interesting punt to me is Nyheim Hines, because the Texans, I believe, have given up the most receiving yards to running backs in the NFL.
Yeah, I think you're right about the Texans, but I'm not on Nyheim Hines. I have seen him pop on a couple people's lineups, but he's going to have to show me more. I mean, they've had good matchups, and he hasn't been doing enough with it. When Mac went down with injury, he didn't step up enough for me. He could get you 4 points, or he could, get lucky and get you like 11. I don't think he's going to go crazy or anything.
Yeah, well, he's not the handcuff to Mac. It's
right.
Mac goes down. He's really not the ball carrying back. He's more of that specialist. Like, you hope he ends up being a Chris Thompson type, because last year you looked up and he had 63 receptions. You're like, where did that come from? I didn't know on a week-to-week basis, but there wasn't a ton of yardage or touchdowns to go with it. On the other side, Jason Mizrahi, our CEO and founder, and Kenny Galladay fan,
and Freeman fan.
He was talking about how he might be back on DeAndre Hopkins this week. And again, I always talk about how I don't like that sort of analysis where a guy is due necessarily. Hopkins, though, has just been disappointing since week 1, and this Colts defense, they're underrated.
Yeah, Hopkins has definitely been disappointing, and he's still priced up there, but it's like this guy's got to get going. Like, he's too good to not get going. He's getting so many targets. I don't know what's going on with him. It does kind of seem like a situation where he can bounce back, but gosh, I don't know that I can get there because the other high-priced wide receivers I like. And then you've got Kenny Stills coming back. That's gonna, get a few targets. Will Fuller still in there, a red zone target, but my gosh, he dropped 3 touchdowns last week. Jason said he should start spelling his name with 3 L's for all the touchdowns he dropped. But Watson's going to be able to spread it out here. I agree that the Colts are a better defense than people give them credit for. I'm not plugging any of these guys in my lineup.
Low-scoring game. The way I'm looking at it, a lot of times divisional games can be lower scoring.
Yeah, that's a good point too. If I'm getting any of them, it'd be Hopkins. I'm not on Fuller this week. Don't go off Will Fuller. I'll be upset because I play you every week. But yeah, Hopkins, Hilton.
So 1 week out of 6 so far has been good for Will Fuller.
I know. Tell me about it. But it was real yards. Good.
He has not hit 70 yards or scored a touchdown in any other game.
I know, but it was a good game, wasn't it, Scott? That 3 touchdown game.
We wait another 6 weeks and we'll get another.
Yeah, that kind of is how it goes with Fuller.
Yeah. So we're going to be taking your questions in the chat room. Line those up too. David will monitor all those for us. I'm keeping an eye on the inactives, etc. Not really a lot of news coming out. We got any questions there in the chat room?
Yeah. Is Watson a safe play in cash?
I would say no. I think this Colts defense is underrated. And I think if you're playing Watson, you react in the last week.
Yeah. I think you can get a safer quarterback in cash. I mean, Watson's a great quarterback.
I'd rather save some money for like Gardner Minshew or Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I could do Minshew. I'm not on Jones myself. But Watson, I think you can do better. But he does. I mean, he can run it and he can throw it to his guys. So I'm not seeing anyone on Watson really this week. Let's see. Hey, Dan, you think Watson and Hopkins is a good pick for cash? I don't think Watson and Hopkins is a good pick for cash. No.
No.
Yeah, you can find better. Go to Cooper Kupp instead of Hopkins.
Or you want to save money? I go Minshew Chark.
Minshew Chark, yeah. I mean, yeah. Save a lot. Let's see. VIP flex. No. Okay, yeah, no more questions.
Okay, got any questions in the chat room though? Fire them up. You got the Chargers and the Titans. The Titans are also, maybe a defense that you can use a pivot off of. The Chargers are just not playing well. They're not getting the run support from Melvin Gordon. Eckler's an interesting play because the Titans are not good against receiving backs. Keenan Allen slumping. I don't see him busting out of it this week. I could see this as another low-scoring game. Derrick Henry, you play him in seasonal. I don't like him in daily this week. Ryan Tannehill, he's a game manager at best. If you go from Mariota to Tannehill, it's just going from mediocre to mediocre to me. Every once in a while, we'd see Tannehill have a big game once every 12 weeks or something like that. But there was an alert on DraftKings. I don't know if they took it off yet. I got to go back and check for days where it said that the game was starting at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time when it's actually starting at 4:05.
Huh? Yeah, I don't know what that is. Game hasn't started yet. That's weird. Yeah, not a lot of plays here.
I'm off this game though, except for maybe a defense, maybe the Tennessee defense.
Yeah, I think the Eckler call is somewhat interesting on DraftKings because you have the Chargers got embarrassed last week. I think they want to go back to what works for them, and that's getting Eckler involved in the pass game. But you have Gordon there too. Who's going to be stealing some of these rush attempts away from him. So it's a tough call. You can probably do better, but if you're trying to win $1 million, you can maybe throw them in one. It might not work out. And then as far as receivers go,
I wanted to win $2 million.
2 million.
Two entries in, freaking entries. $1 million.
It's better without that.
Yeah.
I'm not on any of these Tennessee wide receivers. Keenan Allen might be a sneaky bounce back spot, but it's not on paper. It's not a sneaky bounce back spot. It's a sneaky spot because he's not supposed to go off here, and it's Keenan Allen, and it could happen. Again, not one of my top guys, but he's a great wide receiver. Hunter Henry is definitely in the mix, especially on DraftKings. He's cheaper than he is on FanDuel. He got 2 touchdowns coming back. He got 100 yards receiving in his first game back from injury against Pittsburgh. I think he's way too cheap on DraftKings, and I'm playing him over there for sure.
Jones,
You
stop with all the yakety yak and make me a freaking lineup.
Yeah. When the $2 million.
If you're the number 1 here, that makes Mizrahi the number 2.
Number 2. Classic. They needed. I hear rumors of an Austin Powers 4. I would love to see it. Bring back.
Really? I don't know. They still lose the momentum at this point.
Oh, the
I get worried when you bring a franchise back, after so many years.
They've got Bill and Ted's coming back. They're doing that.
I never saw the originals, really.
Yeah.
I don't think I could take 2 hours of Keanu Reeves.
You don't like Keanu Reeves? You've got to be a Point Break guy. Who's not?
No, I'm not.
Oh, I'm
not a Matrix guy either.
Keanu.
Right. I think I was done with him after Speed, where he's like, "Gotta stop the train."
Speed's classic too. Weird.
It was a good movie, but I just didn't like him. I don't care for him.
Buster H is asking, how much is too much Fournette? I never go 100% on a player, but I think you can go like 75% at least on Fournette. Unless he gets injured, he's going to have a big game.
He hasn't got a lot of touchdowns this year.
No, he hasn't, but he's still been doing good without him. So
Fournette, if you look at his game logs, he's boom or bust.
Yeah.
The DFS, it's not like Fournette better in DFS. You get a good matchup, you pinpoint him. But in seasonal, I don't think he's reliable.
I'll disagree with you there. I mean, I don't think Scott's saying don't play Leonard Fournette in seasonal, but he hasn't been getting a lot of touchdowns, but he's still putting up the points without these touchdowns. So imagine what's going to happen when he gets in the end zone once or twice. That's the way I see it.
Imagine what happens. I don't want to set my lineup on imagine what happens.
That's what I'm going to be forced to do this week. I'm hoping
that's the case. It's like I'll just name him. Imagine what happens, Mixon, because that's all he's been this year.
Jesus, yeah. Hey, are you a John Wick guy?
No.
Javi wants to know. All right, Clayton Duffy's asking Waller.
I don't think I even know what those movies are about.
They're pretty. The action sequences are good, but that's all I got.
I'm not a big action flick guy. Although I got to see the new Rambo. I hear it's incredibly violent. But I'm looking at the game logs for Fournette. He has 1 rushing touchdown, and
I know
4 of 6 games he hasn't reached 75 yards rushing.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, I know, but he's also getting targeted through the air. That's what I like about him.
10 points a game though in the air though, so I guess it's all working out. But the rushing production hasn't been good at all. He's had 2 good games in the last 3 weeks though. So, and look, when you're talking seasonal, high quality running backs are very scarce.
Yeah, I'm looking back at the logs too. He typically starts slow, Fournette. I remember that from past seasons. Last week he got New Orleans that looked really fantastic on defense. He still got over 100 all-purpose yards, no touchdowns. Before that, Carolina, it's a good defense. Put up 21.7 with 1 rushing touchdown. At Denver, he put up 225 yards. I'm in on Fournette, so I'm not going to be.
He's actually staying healthy, which is unusual for him.
Clayton Duffy wants to know Waller or Hooper at tight end.
You're talking seasonal or DFS. I think I got to go Hooper on both counts.
He seems safer, doesn't he?
Yeah, I like both of them. And in seasonal, what a lot of people don't want to do because it feels unusual, but there's no reason you can't do it. Start 2 tight ends, put 1 in a flex. Because because of drafting, a lot of people have ended up that way because, okay, I drafted Kelsey in the 3rd, and I took Andrews in the 12th, and they both startable. And it feels unusual for people to run a 12 package, in seasonal fantasy football, but there's nothing wrong with it. If that's your best player, stick him in the flex. If you picked up Hunter Henry and you can't trade him, stick him in your flex.
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree. I've got DraftKings lineups this week with 2 tight ends. They're cheap and there's a lot of guys I like, so that's what I'm going to have to do. It hasn't won yet this year, but I've seen it win in the past. And if it's a good play, it's a good play.
All right, we mentioned Austin Powers. Give me your 3 favorite movie franchises. Like,
Oh, wow. I can give you directors easier than franchises. I'm a huge Quentin Tarantino fan, so that's just number one by a mile. And I'm a big Wes Anderson fan. I love all his stuff. If I'm going franchises, man, that's
I mean,
tough.
right off the top of my head, I'm going to go Rocky and the first 3 Star Wars.
Yeah, I'm not. We're on different movie paths. I'm not huge into Rocky or Star Wars. Sorry.
Really,
Yeah, I like the Lord of the Rings, but I don't know. That's my
I
top
don't,
three.
I don't, not into that. No,
Yeah. Oh man, I don't know. That's
I'm not
that's
into
tough.
that medieval kind of stuff.
I'm a big Marvel
Not for
guy.
me. Game of Thrones. Oh yeah, yeah. To me, the best Marvel movies, to me personally, we won't get too far off track here. The
Hmm.
first 2 Tobey Maguire Spider-Mans are my favorite.
Yeah, those are pretty good. I'm into the new stuff, the new Marvel ones, and
I
Batman.
like them too. I like them too.
Any Batman movie, I'm into. That's
No,
my biggest franchise.
Mizrahi says the same thing.
Oh, dude, it's great. It's
Yeah,
fantastic. You're crazy, Scott.
yeah.
We can't watch movies together.
Really? Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you've won enough money to probably buy yourself your own movie theater.
I don't.
Put it
It
there in
seems
the
like a
house.
failing business. I don't know that I want a movie theater right now.
Okay. So, the Monday night movie between the Jets and the Patriots should be very interesting. Interesting showdown slate because I think the Jets are going to come to play this week.
Mm.
Uh, Belichick was actually talking about what an offensive genius Adam Gase is. But if you're such an offensive genius, you wouldn't have got blown out in Super Bowl 48. You wouldn't have been terrible with the Dolphins. But the Jets have done a nice job of surrounding Sam Darnold with talent. We just have to worry about the consistency. I've admired Le'Veon Bell and how he worked hard for his yardage and, kept a team first approach. A lot of respect for him while Darnold was out. And he's a guy I think you should buy on in seasonal leagues because that schedule really opens up. It started in week 8, and he's their best player. And him and Crowder, the Jets can actually save your seasonal fantasy league. If you lost Mahomes, you look at some of the matchups the Jets have. The schedule's really friendly after this week. And for Monday night, though, look. You always have to consider captaining Brady because he does it against everybody. You can't trust the running backs. There's one
Yep.
player you can trust on both sides in that game. It's Brady.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think the Patriots win this one pretty easy. I know Jets showed up last week, and a lot of people
I
are
don't
feeling.
think it's going to be easy. I think the Jets
Yeah,
going to be fired up, and this is a divisional game.
yeah, I agree, but I also think the Patriots are going to be fired up, and they're clearly better and the best defense in the league. Maybe you got 49ers up there too. And Monday night they tend to show up. Brady hates the Jets. I think if you've got two teams that are both trying to show up, then the Patriots can overwhelm
I
them.
think the Patriots are going to win, but I don't think it's going to be
Right.
stomping.
What is it? I think it was a 10-point spread. Maybe I hardly looked at it.
I would take the Jets. I would take the Jets actually if it's 10
I would
points.
I would take the Patriots. I would take the
I think it's
Patriots.
going to be like a 30-23 final.
Give me
But I think
a.
it's going to be lower than that. I'll say 24-17.
I don't think I'll give the Jets I don't think they're doing much, man. I'm gonna give them like 10 points maybe, and then the Pats are gonna get up in high 20s, low 30s.
Yeah, I just think it's an interesting game. And
Yeah.
if you're in a seasonal league, I think it's a good time to. I think it's a good time to actually, maybe trade for Le'Veon Bell. The Giants are at hosting Arizona. How do you feel about Daniel Jones today? We're getting Patrick Peterson back.
I'm not on Jones. That's also a guy that's been popping up in a lot of questions. I'm not there. It's the rain factor. I think it's still looking like it's going to rain to me. And if it's not, then sure you can get on him more. But
It's only going to be 5-mile-an-hour winds, though.
yeah, and I know the winds have more to do with it, but it's just I'm not on him. I'm not there. I've got other quarterbacks I like more, but in season long, he's good. If you want to take a shot in DFS, go for it. He's missing Sterling Shepard. He's going to have Ingram and Barkley to dish it out to. And you've also got Darius Slayton down there, who I didn't hate as a punt.
No, I
Before I
don't.
knew
I don't hate
about
him as a punt either. Yeah.
yeah, before I knew about the weather, and I just look. I know it's not
With
like
all
the
due
end all.
respect, I think you're making too much of the weather.
I know that's what I'm about to say. Like,
Yeah.
I know it's not
Yeah.
the be all and end all, but to me, if I know that there's like a little risk of weather, I usually just tend to get off it so I don't kick myself later. Maybe I've got scars from what's happened to me in the past, but I tend to pivot off it. So
What do you think about Barkley today? He should be fine because the Giants aren't going to rush their
yeah.
franchise player back before he's ready.
Yeah, no, I think Barkley's going to be good to go. If he's playing, then he's 100%. He's going to be getting the rock a lot. He's expensive, but he should do just fine.
Coverage wise, a lot of speculation that Peterson in his first game back is going to be on Ingram, but the Cardinals are also so bad against the tight end. And Golden Tate really had a big game last week against the Patriots. Uh, Still a very good NFL wide receiver, one of the best in the business, yardage after the catch, and might avoid Peterson in the slot. I don't think Tate's going to be widely owned, and he's a curious play. Doesn't get in the end zone a lot, but to me, a very nifty play that might not be widely owned.
I don't think he'll be widely owned because everyone's thinking the coverage is going to be on him, which I tend to agree with. He's going to be the excuse me, wide receiver one there, and it's going to be the main focus of the defense. I'm not on him myself. He will be low owned though. Buster H says Die Hard and Lethal Weapon. Do you like either of those?
Nope, I'm just not an action flick guy.
Mm.
Than the Rambo stuff because I love Stallone. Got to see that new one. I've heard it's incredibly graphic. Worse than the last one. The Cardinals, though, on the other side, a lot of people liking Kyler Murray. If you like him, you have to go Fitzgerald. David Johnson is going to play here.
Okay.
What do you think the split's going to be between him and Edmonds? And can you use Edmonds and Daly today?
So as far as the split goes, I'm just kind of looking at what they've done in the past here. Edmonds should, probably rush the ball 6.
I don't think he's got enough. He's going to get enough
Yeah.
touches though to have upside. You worry about these timeshare backfields and then you look at Miami and San Francisco. Both running backs have great matchups, but you have to decide which one you like better in these timeshares.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely Coleman for San Francisco. I think it's tougher with Buffalo because I feel like Singletary has more upside, but Gore has a better shot to score.
Yeah, so you have I might get off Chase Edmonds a little more than I was earlier. He's you go back and look at what he did the past 2 weeks. He's paid off great, 13.7, 16.1, but he got a touchdown in each game. If you think Chase Edmonds is going to get a touchdown, you can play him, but his ceiling, he does not have a high ceiling. He has a very low ceiling, and he's not going to put up like 20 points or something. He could if he gets in the end zone, he's going to get 15 points, which is good, but you have to get him in the end zone first. With touching the ball 10 times, I don't know, it's hard.
Any questions in the chat room right now?
Nothing. Last one is the lethal weapon question.
Okay. Anyhow, we haven't talked much about Detroit, Minnesota. It's interesting that Darrell Bevel, is the new offensive coordinator, came over from Seattle ultimately, and very familiar with the way that he likes to play things. He likes to run the ball and take deep shots. But Kerryon Johnson's been incredibly disappointing. I think he'll be less than 1% owned against the Minnesota Vikings today.
Mm-hmm.
Galladay, I think you have to start him in a seasonal league, but there's just not a lot to like here other than the defense, except the one guy that I am looking at is TJ Hawkinson. A lot of people are just assuming it'll be a bad matchup, but Minnesota's
Good
top
matchup.
4 in fantasy points allowed to opposing tight ends.
Yeah, that's the only guy I'm really looking at in this game myself. TJ Hawkinson going to be very low owned. He's got a pretty good ceiling. He's not on my mains or anything, but if I'm going there, then it'd be Hawkinson. But overall, this game's not standing out to me.
There is a lot of Dalvin Cook buzz, though.
Well, yeah, I'm on Dalvin Cook for sure.
I mean, Dalvin Cook's pretty chalky, actually, from what I'm seeing.
He's pretty chalky, and he's high priced. But he gets the ball. Now he's not going to kill you. That's the thing. People want to go to him because he's not going to kill you. But to win a big GPP with him at that ownership, you're going to need him to put up a season high probably, because when he was putting up 25, 26 fantasy points, he wasn't as highly priced. The past 3 games, he's got 12 points, 22 points, 16 points. So you're going to need him to get in the end zone maybe twice, or at least end zone in a 100-yard game.
Go back to that Cincinnati-Jacksonville game. We talked a lot about Jacksonville. With Cincinnati in seasonal, I'm not even recommending Joe Mixon. He's not my top 25 running backs. I know the matchup doesn't look good, and maybe people can play him as contrarian in daily, but this guy's just done nothing, and they're not even stacking the box against him frequently.
Yeah, he looks slow out there. He's not hitting the hole hard. I in seasonal with the bye weeks, I would say you play him because he's a starting running back as like your flex position if you had to.
I'm not playing him in seasonal. I'll use Miles Sanders over him. I'll take yeah.
Yeah.
That's how down I am on Mixon.
Yeah, I mean Miles Sanders. I can't argue that either. He hadn't done anything, so
well, he had
don't
a nice
do anything. Keep it up. Don't do anything today.
He had a nice game last week as a receiver. So, but I do like the Cincinnati wide receivers. Auden Tate, I think, gets overlooked. He had 5 catches, I think, for 91 yards last week. And against this Jacksonville secondary doesn't have Jalen Ramsey. I think Auden Tate's an interesting play, especially if Andy Dalton's playing from behind and, tossing a lot of balls out there for catch-up. Tyler Boyd will get the defensive attention. He'll get the double team if anybody does. I kind of like Auden Tate as a sneaky play, too, both in seasonal and DFS.
Yeah, I like Auden Tate. I'm getting questions about him too. I don't think he's going to be very low owned. I think he'll be higher owned on DraftKings because he's cheaper than Boyd. But over on FanDuel, he is more expensive than Boyd, which doesn't make sense to me. I like Boyd significantly more, but Auden Tate has some great hands. However, now he's shown up a few weeks so far this season. In Jacksonville, they know that Tate's a guy that they have to keep an eye on too. So I think they focus on him a little bit more. He's not going to be double covered or anything, but they know he's a threat. So when you get these rookie wide receivers in and they start to do things, and the other defenses adjust. So to me, Boyd's the play on this team. Tate on DraftKings, I get it for just the 1-point PPR. And then also, if we like both these wide receivers, I don't hate Andy Dalton in a big GPP. He's going to be throwing it. We hate Mixon. We think it can be a high-scoring game. He's right there priced next to Gardner Minshew, so no one's going to own him. So I think you can take a shot on Dalton too.
I saw one of our experts saying, actually I think it was Andrew Erickson, that why not take a shot on Ryan Tannehill because he's so cheap.
Yeah, I wish Andrew Erickson luck. I can't get on Tannehill. I'm looking at his price. I haven't even thought about.
I think he's 4,800 or something like that.
Oh gosh, over on DraftKings, yeah. I mean that makes a little more sense. I mean he's going to want to come in. He's his first starting game since he got traded, sure, but it's still Ryan Tannehill, and I'm not on him.
No, Ryan Tannehill was a bad quarterback. You realize the Jets and the Dolphins are cursed. The Jets haven't had a star quarterback since Namath, and Miami hasn't had a star quarterback since Marino.
We got another question here. Javi, our main new hire over at WInDaily Sports.
Why is he asking us questions?
Yeah. You need to come on next week and answer some questions. But he wants us to talk about. He's saying he's getting on the Colts defense more and more. He wants us to talk him off the ledge. Can you? I'm not on him. Can you talk him off the ledge, Scott?
I'm somewhere in the middle on the Colts defense. I think if Javi's thinking that they're not going to be widely owned, they are a solid unit. The offensive line of the Texans has improved, but I still think it's a problem. I think when you're looking for sacks and turnovers, though, I don't know if I like them a whole lot. I can't see Deshaun Watson turning the ball over a lot. Carlos Hyde really is a bit of fumble machine, anything like that. Like I said, I think if you go daring, you go the Raiders at 1,900. And if you're going to pivot off the Buffalo Bills or the Niners, I think I got to go with the Saints.
Yeah, I'm not on him, Javi, but hey, man, you're the one who's crushing it out there. You've got a lot more tickets than I do right now, so if you're feeling it. You do it.
Yeah,
You do it, buddy.
If Javi positions it as a question, I'm wondering if I should turn it from a question into a recommendation.
Two K on D or on DraftKings for the Colts. That's pretty cheap.
That's only $100 more than the Raiders. That's why I can see where he's going with that.
Yeah, I mean, you must be getting some pretty good
It's
wide
it's a
receivers.
defensive game, and they can get some coverage sacks. Although Deshaun Watson the one thing. The problem with defense is you're never going to predict big plays.
Right.
And how much do you really expect Deshaun Watson to throw a pick six? When I think you can see Mitchell Trubisky throwing two of them.
Yeah, and Will Fuller's not going to be catching touchdowns. We know that. So
Yeah, the Raiders would have, with all Aaron Rodgers' injuries at wide receiver, I could see some coverage sacks.
yeah, I'm not paying down. I mean, I get all this, but I'm just paying up. I'm taking one of the big two.
Well, I'm having some fun, analyzing like the bottom of the field here.
Yeah, I like it. If I'm looking at the bottom of the field, well, it's not really the bottom, but I was liking Green Bay a little bit. I think I mentioned that earlier. But they're up towards the top two. Oakland's tough.
I do like Green Bay because they've played very well on defense. That's why I'm off of Jacobs today. I know we talked about he's 5,000 on
Right.
DraftKings, but those corners are really, really good in Green Bay. And it's a very simple game plan. It's let's stop Josh Jacobs, let's
Yeah.
spy him, let's key on him, and we can have our corners play them straight up. Just maybe cover Darren Waller. Where are they going to go with the football? If Jacobs can't go anywhere, and they're in 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, where are they going with the football?
Okay,
That defense.
All right, so this brings me to a guy that I have as a punt wide receiver. I'm glad we were just talking about this. Zay Jones is newly acquired by Oakland Raiders. He's been practicing with the team for 2 weeks. He can step in. I mean, he's going to step in and be better than Aitman, Renfro, and J.J. Nelson with Ty Williams out. I would have to think that they've designed a play or two for Zay Jones to go long and at least get a shot to catch a deep one. It's just kind of as a welcome to the team. Plus, we don't have anyone else to throw to. So Zay Jones as a punt is a guy I can see like on DraftKings where he's cheaper. But there's also a few other guys down there like Lazard that I like and Darius Slayton. But that's just a name I'm going to throw out as a very, very deep, high risk GPP wide receiver.
Yeah, you scare me when you do that because if you say it'll probably come true. But in my head, going against that defense, if they put one of their quarters on Zay Jones, he's going to get erased, and maybe he'll catch a 46-yard pass and end up with 2 catches for 48 yards.
Yeah, I mean, he could easily bust here too. I mean, it's just there has to be a wide receiver, on Oakland. They're not going to run it every time.
No, there doesn't. This could end up being a 17-6 game.
Yeah. So no Hunter Renfro, no J.J. Nelson. Is J.J. Nelson?
I'd rather go with Jay Kumerow.
Cora. I don't even know who that is.
Kumerow from Green Bay.
Same
game.
Kumaro. I don't know. We got to wait for the news. Let's see if we got.
Look, if you're gonna spend down, go to 4,100 to Dante Pettis. That's the guy I like.
We're getting hit up from Jay. He wants us to go over these tight ends a little more. Ingram, Andrews, Hooper, Waller, Henry. Matt Crush is saying he's high.
Yeah, I guess Jay missed us earlier in the show, but we'll cover it again. Ingram is going to be covered by Patrick Peterson, but the tight ends is the Cardinals have been so bad against tight ends that give you pause that you might want to pivot off of them. We talked about Andrews. We mentioned him. I guess that was missed earlier. That we really like him because Lamar Jackson doesn't have a lot of other places to go with the football, and Seattle might be without their starting strong safety as well. So Everett we mentioned is somebody we like too that may not be widely owned. I think maybe the one guy we didn't cover enough was George Kittle.
Yeah, and I'm not on Kittle this week, even though Washington is bad. But I'm not on him. He's the highest priced tight end. I don't think you have to jam in a $7,100 tight end on a FanDuel with a team that likes to run in a bad weather game.
Yeah, but where else are they going to throw the football?
Yeah, we talked about Pettis a little bit. I'm off the pass game. I mean, I'd rather play a running back in this game. Got to pick your spots. And
But that
Kittle.
that sets up play action to Kittle and to Pettis.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to pay up for it's a price thing too. He's the highest priced tight end. I don't think I can get there. You've got guys underneath him I like. He will be low owned because you've got Ingram, Andrews, Hooper, Waller, Everett, Graham, even that we should touch on underneath.
I'm not touching Graham.
Yeah,
He's the defenses know with all the wide receiver injuries that he's got to be a go-to guy, and he hasn't responded at all.
Yeah, this is accurate. I thought Rodgers was going to trust him more last game with injuries to the wide receivers. He got 2 receptions, 17 yards. I mean, I'm going to be sick if he does something today. But even when he gets a touchdown in this offense, he's still not breaking the slate. He's got 2 touchdowns, and he hasn't eclipsed 15 fantasy points yet. So, yeah, I'm not going to be on Graham either. And then Hunter Henry down at the bottom. Still too cheap. The algorithms didn't adjust for that. I think it was the night game. Yeah, last Sunday. He's going to be targeted like a wide receiver 2 here, probably over Mike Williams. I'm big on Henry today, especially DraftKings for the price.
Yeah, you talk about weather. You mentioned San Francisco and Washington. There's going to be some rain there, but the winds are going to be 9 miles an hour.
When does the wind start to affect how fast?
Usually, when you get above 15 miles an hour,
Mm-hmm.
then you're starting to concern, especially when you get above 17.
Okay. Yeah, I just like I was saying earlier, I tend to gravitate to what I know feels safer, but don't overreact to that. Like Scott's saying, that's just the thing that I kind of do. I just want it to be as safe as possible.
It's gonna rain more in Washington than it is in New Jersey. The
Yeah,
precipitation possibilities in Washington are 82%,
yeah,
according to NFLweather.com, whereas in New Jersey, it's 30%. And out in Seattle, the wind's only going to be about I think 4 miles an hour, from what I'm seeing.
yeah. That's
And
not bad at all. It's nothing.
yeah, the Seahawks actually practice outdoors. But it's going to be 10 miles an hour. But I've seen so many rain games in Seattle where it really hasn't affected the offense.
Yeah, well, you are the Seattle man, So Matt Crush is talking here largely on Hooper on tight end too. I like Hooper, but I don't think he's going to beat what he did last week. And so I know he's going to get his.
Hooper's
But
been
he's
really
not
good when
top.
they've played from behind, and it is a good shot of playing from behind today.
That's true too. Yeah, he marched it down the field last week. It was awesome. He got me in the money. I loved it. But
Yeah,
he's a good play. I'm not telling you not to play Hooper. Hooper's a good play.
yeah, and I'm off of Hunter Henry. This Tennessee defense just been too good, and Henry scored. As much as I like him overall, scored his points playing catch up last week.
Yeah. So, all right. I don't see any more questions here. Scott, we got anything else we need to
We
cover?
covered pretty much every team at every position at this point, except for kickers, which really haven't don't play into anything for daily. Do you miss playing kickers in daily?
I didn't. I wasn't like a huge advocate to get rid of them because I was good at playing kickers, but now that they're gone, yeah, I like it a lot better.
Yeah. So make sure that you hit our Slack chat room. You upgrade to premium gold, and you can talk to all of our experts one-on-one up until kickoff, including yourself, David.
Yeah, that's right. I'll be there. I'm gonna hop in right now when we get off the show.
Yeah, we cover everything with your premium gold subscription. We got the NBA season starting on Tuesday. You fired up for that?
Oh man, yeah, that's I'm feeling pretty good about that first slate, Tuesday slate at NBA. It's only a 2-gamer, but I've got ways that I like to play those. And then big Wednesday after that. Can't wait.
All right. So thanks a lot for our technical director, as always, William Cowan, for doing a great job. This isn't the end of the WInDaily Sunday. Like we said, upgrade to Premium Gold. You get live one-on-one advice in our Slack channel, whether it's for daily or even seasonal. You get great projection models, and a ton of articles and podcasts every day. So you want to make sure that you upgrade to Premium Gold. So thanks a lot. We're going to sign off now, and we will see you next week.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks a lot.